Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I cannot fully describe how happy and grateful I am to receive the prestigious Bal Sahitya Puraskar 2024. This great honor bestowed upon me has filled me with the encouragement and the resolve to continue my journey as a writer with great vigor. I have been attracted to literature from my childhood days. I was fond of reading stories for young children and the young adults of my land as well as from abroad. But I never imagined that I would myself write someday and contribute to the field of literature. The thought of becoming a writer did not occur to me for a long time. I began my journey as a writer by writing stories for young children. The idea came in a rather surprising way. When my daughter was a small child, I had to tell her bedtime stories every night to get her to sleep. Sometimes I told her stories that I knew from my childhood, but I also had to improvise and make up new stories of my own to satisfy her. After some time, I could see that some of the stories that I made up got to so much hold on my daughter that she would ask to hear them again and again. This gave me the idea that if I could put these stories down in writing, they might attract the children at large. And so, with 10 such stories, my first book was published in 2008. When my first book was published, I realized that not only my daughter, but many other children had liked it. Naturally, this gave me an encouragement, and I started writing story after story for the very young. In the Bengali language, there is a rich legacy of fairy tales. Dakshinarayan's Mitra Majumdar's collection of fairy tales under the title Thakumar Jhuli found praises from no less than Tagore himself. I too, as a child, was very fond of fairy tales. But at the time I had started writing, I could feel that the tradition of fairy tales in Bengal was gradually dying. New creations in this genre had nearly dried up. The children were no longer interested in fairy tales. When I read to my daughter's stories I had been fond of as a child, I could tell that they did not appeal to her because she could not make so much sense of them. Children of today cannot make sense out of traditional fairy tales because they talk of values and situations that are alien to them. Therefore, I decided to write modern tales compatible with the contemporary way of life. The traditional fairy tales are steeped in gender discrimination. Women are always the weaker sex. Such a value system is no longer acceptable. So I started writing a new kind of fairy tales that did away with the dated ideas of the traditional tales while retaining their form. Just like in the traditional tales, my stories have kings, queens, princes, and princesses in them. But there no distinction is made between the prince and the princess. A princess may become the ruler, while a prince may be passed over for a commoner in the choice of the king's successor, if the qualities of the commoners are deemed more suitable by the subjects. I also try to make the children aware of important issues in contemporary life. My stories are against war. They promote concern for the environment and the need to preserve our forests. After some time, I started getting requests from the young adults to write for them. I took up the work in earnest. The book for which I was chosen for this award is one of such works. Its title is Mohidadu's Antidote, or Grandfather Mohi's Antidote in English. It's a science fiction, which may also be termed as a futuristic literature. The story speaks of a world where there is a planned initiative, a project to transform the human mind, to make it devoid of imagination and creativity, and transform human into mechanical, standardized beings, incapable of independent thoughts and reasoning, and consequently deprived of the power to protest or rebel. A world of humanity caged in a rigid frame that allows no difference no deviation, and no recalcitrance. A world of perfect order, but the project ultimately fails. As Mohidadu stands its way, he develops an antidote to prevent the genetic modification of humans, and his grandson, Noyon, also a scientist, takes upon himself to secretly spread this antidote among the people. Amidst the suspense, thrills, and chase, as in a spy thriller, the novel brings home to its readers the eternal truth of humans living through the times with all the creativity, diversity, farsightedness, and compassion, the qualities that we call humanity in short. With this responsibility in mind, I write with emphasis on social harmony and gender equality. I try to create awareness of traditional social and family values among Indians, besides developing a scientific attitude among the young that fits well in a digital age and one that is conducive to the growth of India into an intellectual, cultural, and economic powerhouse, a guiding light to the rest of the world in a not too distant future. I also take care to ensure that violence, hatred, gruesome murders, riots, etc. do not creep into my stories for the children and the young adults. It has been some years that I have forayed into the realm of adult literature, but I still enjoy writing for the children the most. This may be because I feel that I have much to say to the children. There are many questions and curiosities need to be answered. The answers that do not find a place in the school textbooks have to be provided to the children. A child's idea of life, of the world around it, is usually based upon